Everyone loves talking about compounding, passive income, and retiring early. But here's the brutal truth. If you don't understand how money actually works, none of that matters. Because yes, you can absolutely build serious wealth if you stop doing what most people do. In fact, the difference between struggling and thriving often comes down to what you never learned. That's why today's video, 10 wealth lessons you'll wish you learned sooner and can still master, goes beyond a typical money talk. It's the eye-opening wake-up call that most people miss entirely. These are the lessons hiding behind every financial breakthrough, the secrets behind wealth building, mindset shifts, and the real psychology of money. Not the theories, but the truths the 1% actually live by. Stick around, because what we're about to explore could alter the entire course of your financial future. Most people aren't broke because they don't earn enough. They're broke because they don't think like the wealthy. Let's fix that. Listen to the story. When Malik was 26, he inherited $80,000 from a distant uncle. For the first time in his life, money wasn't the problem. But here's the twist. It became the source of new problems. He took trips, bought gadgets, paid off some debt, but didn't build anything. Within 18 months, it was gone. Now 35, Malik's rebuilding with a different mindset, one lesson at a time. He realized money doesn't change your habits, it amplifies them. And if you don't learn the rules of wealth early, you end up repeating someone else's financial mistakes. This video is for every Malik out there, those who've earned, lost, or never had much, but know it's time to level up. So let me ask you, what would you do differently if you got a second chance with money? Stick around, because by lesson 10, your perspective on wealth will never be the same. Comment money below if you're ready to break the old cycle. And don't forget to subscribe. Let's start with lesson 1. Money is not about math. It's about behavior. The biggest myth in personal finance is that it's all about numbers, that if you just crunch the right formulas, you'll get rich. But money doesn't respond to calculators. It responds to psychology. People don't go broke because they miscalculated their budget by $14. People go broke because they felt like they deserved that vacation, or thought that new car would fix their stress, or panicked when the market dipped. Here's the truth. Your financial future is controlled more by your behavior than your income, and behavior is messy. Saving consistently when no one's watching? That's behavior. Not touching your emergency fund when things feel tight? That's behavior. Reinvesting dividends instead of buying stuff to impress your friends? All behavior. Morgan Housel says in The Psychology of Money, doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave. The wealthy don't win because they're better at math. They win because they're better at managing emotions, greed, fear, envy, impulse. So, don't focus on the spreadsheet until you've fixed the habits behind the numbers. Track your spending. Notice your emotional triggers. Build systems that protect you from yourself. Because if you can control your behavior, you can control your money. Let's move forward into lesson 2. And this one's a wake-up call for anyone who thinks they have time to wait. All right, let's dive into the next lesson. Respect the time value of money. Here's a wealth truth most people don't grasp until it's too late. Time is the most powerful force in finance, and most people treat it like it's free. When you waste time, you're not just losing hours. You're losing compound growth. You're losing decades of potential. Let's do a quick example. Imagine two friends, Jason and Malik. Jason starts investing $200 a month at age 22. Malik waits until 32 to start, but contributes $400 a month. Guess what? Even though Malik invests double the amount, Jason ends up with more money by retirement. Why? Because time equals money. Early money has more time to grow. That's compounding's golden rule. Now apply this beyond investing. Every decision you delay because you're not ready. You're robbing your future self. You're pushing back the growth curve. This is why the 1% move fast. They know every year wasted is a year they'll never get back. They respect time like it's their most valuable asset, because it is. Here's your shift. Stop saying, "I'll start next year." Start saying, "I can't afford to wait." Whether it's building a side hustle, opening a Roth IRA, or learning new skills, start now. Not perfectly, not with $1 million. Just start. Because this lesson goes like this: time won't wait for you, but compounding will reward you for showing up early. Up next, we'll dismantle one of the most misunderstood money habits that keeps people poor, even when they're saving. Ready to dive into a transformative money insight? Don't just save. Assign every dollar a job. Saving money is great, but directionless saving? That's just hoarding. A savings account should never feel like a junk drawer where loose cash goes to die. One of the biggest mistakes people make is saving money without a purpose. And here's the catch: money without a mission rarely multiplies. The wealthy don't just save, they assign. Every dollar they keep has a job: emergency fund, investment capital, opportunity fund, tax cushion. When your money has a mission, it doesn't sit, it works. This is the difference between parking money and planting it. Parking means safety. Planting means growth. So here's your next move. Review your savings today and ask, what is this money supposed to do? Then, automate it. Automate your transfers. Automate your investments. Turn chaos into clarity. This lesson unveils one of the most transformative insights into building wealth, the kind you wish had been part of your education. But alas, the system was designed to sideline financial literacy, leaving many of us navigating money matters in the dark. So it's time to rewrite that narrative and empower yourself with knowledge that can unlock extraordinary potential. The psychology of money is clear. Don't just save, strategize, assign, activate. And coming up, we'll break down why who you surround yourself with might be sabotaging or supercharging your wealth journey. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far and want more topics like this, comment the word "more" so I know. Moving on to the next powerful wealth lesson you'll wish you had embraced earlier, but still have time to master, is this: your network shapes your net worth. Want to see your financial future? Look at your 5 closest friends. This lesson is blunt but real. If you're surrounded by people who only talk about spending, flexing, or living for the weekend, you're absorbing that mindset every day, and over time, it becomes yours. The wealthy know this, which is why they curate their circle like they curate their investments. They hang out with builders, learners, people who talk ideas, not just paychecks. Now, we're not saying ditch your friends, but you do need balance. Add new voices to your life: podcasts, books, mentors who talk about money in a way that elevates you. Think of your circle like financial soil. Toxic soil stunts growth. Rich soil multiplies it. Your environment shapes your expectations, your standards, your goals. One subtle example: if everyone around you treats debt as normal, you will too. But hang with people who prioritize financial freedom, and suddenly, saving and investing become contagious. So take inventory. Who do you vent to about money? Who do you learn from? Who pushes you to level up? Remember, wealth isn't just built by strategy. It's shaped by the voices you allow around you. Up next, we're diving into how the wealthy use one mental trick to protect their financial engine from self-sabotage. Are you ready? Here's how it unfolds. Your money needs a mental firewall. You've built a plan. You've started investing. But here's a brutal truth most never consider. Your biggest financial risk isn't the market, it's your own mind. Emotions are expensive. Fear sells, greed misleads, and most people unknowingly sabotage their own wealth by reacting instead of responding. That's why the 1% treat mindset as part of their financial portfolio. They install what I like to call a mental firewall. It's not just discipline, it's automation, habit, and awareness working together to protect them from, well, themselves. Ever notice how the wealthy rarely panic sell? That's not luck or lack of fear. That's systemization. They've designed processes that run when emotions want to take the wheel. Think auto transfers to investment accounts. No login, no debate, just action. Think preset rules for when to buy or hold, regardless of headlines. This is how they protect the engine. Because once your system is rolling, the real job becomes not messing it up. A great quote that hits this home comes from Charlie Munger. The first rule of compounding: never interrupt it unnecessarily. That's not just about money, it's about behavior. So here's your firewall checklist. 1. Automate contributions and bill payments. 2. Have a written plan for downturns. 3. Set boundaries for emotional decisions, like not checking your portfolio daily. The psychology behind money is this: the mind is either your greatest asset or your most expensive liability. Build the firewall before the fire starts. Let's switch gears and get into the next money lesson. Money doesn't change you, it reveals you. There's a myth we need to bust, that money changes people. Truth is, it doesn't. It just amplifies who you already are. If you're generous before wealth, you'll be generous after. If you're reckless, money gives you a bigger stage to blow it. That's why the wealthy focus as much on character as they do on cash. They understand that mindset, values, and self-awareness shape the impact of every dollar they earn. Take, for example, someone who builds wealth fast, but never did the inner work. What happens? They spend, they spiral, they start over. We've all seen it, and maybe lived a version of it. But the 1%? They treat personal growth like portfolio growth. They invest in it, they track it, they hold themselves accountable. Here's the quote that nails it. Wealth doesn't change you, it unmasks you. If your foundation is shaky, money will expose it. But if it's strong, money becomes a tool for impact, not chaos. So before you ask, how do I get rich? Ask, am I the kind of person wealth can trust? Because this lesson goes like this. Your net worth grows in direct proportion to your self-worth. All right, the next wealth lesson you'll wish you had embraced earlier but still have time to master is the power of saying no. Most people think wealth is built by saying yes to more opportunities, more income, more gigs, more investments. But here's what the wealthy know: real wealth is often built by saying no. Let's be clear. This isn't about being lazy or avoiding risks. It's about focus. Because every yes is a trade-off. Every shiny object you chase pulls attention away from your long-term plan. Saying no is how the wealthy protect their time, their energy, and their capital. It's how they avoid distractions dressed as opportunities. It's how they avoid financial burnout. Think about Warren Buffett's famous quote. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. There's power in restraint. This applies to your life too. Saying no to lifestyle creep, to impulse buys, to high-risk investments that promise the moon but deliver migraines, to social pressure that says you should have more, spend more, show more. When you build the habit of saying no to what doesn't serve your wealth goals, you create space for what does. You can double down on the few things that actually move the needle. Here's a practical way to start. Write down your top 3 financial goals. Now ask yourself, what have you said yes to this month that moves you away from those goals? That's your clarity check. What's the takeaway? Saying no isn't about scarcity, it's about protecting what matters most. Up next, we are unveiling the secret to long-term investment success. Ready to unlock their game-changing technique? Let's dive in. If there's one mental model that separates successful investors from the average ones, it's this. They think in decades, not days. While most people react to market news like it's breaking life or death info, the wealthiest minds zoom out. They're not asking, "What's my portfolio doing today?" They're asking, "Where will this decision take me in 10 years?" Here's why it works. Time is the one multiplier no one can fake. It reveals truth, weeds out hype, and amplifies smart decisions. If your strategy needs daily checking to survive, it's probably not a strategy. It's a gamble. Legendary investor Shelby Davis once said, "You make most of your money in a bear market. You just don't realize it at the time." That's what long-term thinking unlocks. Patience in downturns, conviction in value, and the ability to ignore short-term noise. Let's look at an example. Imagine investing $10,000 in a quality dividend ETF like SCHD and committing to add $100 monthly, no matter what. In 1 year, maybe it's not flashy, but in 10, you've built a machine that feeds itself. That's the difference between a flash-in-the-pan trader and someone who retires early on their own terms. Let's unravel a powerful financial principle. This is how it goes. Time is the ultimate wealth builder, if you stop interrupting it. The next powerful money lesson you'll wish you had embraced earlier. The secret ROI of emotional discipline. Here's something the textbooks won't teach you, but every wealthy investor lives by. Emotional discipline is a return on investment, not in percentages, but in everything that matters: clarity, consistency, and peace of mind. Money decisions are emotional. That's why the markets don't just rise and fall on earnings. They rise and fall on fear and greed. And if you don't master your emotions will master your portfolio. Think about it. How many people sold their stocks in March 2020 only to miss the entire rebound? How many jumped into crypto FOMO at the top and got crushed? The mistake wasn't financial, it was emotional. Remember this: the calmest investor usually wins. Develop habits that train your emotional muscles. Set rules for buying and selling and stick to them. Build a watch list instead of watching the news, and give yourself permission to pause before reacting. Here's a quote from Morgan Housel: "Doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave." In investing and in life, discipline beats dopamine, and learning to stay grounded when the market gets shaky, that's a skill the 1% never stop refining. All right, let's dive into Lesson 10, Identity over Income. Let's get real. Most people chase income, thinking it'll solve everything. But here's the truth. The wealthy understand. Income is temporary, but identity is forever. This wealth lessons is about something deeper than numbers. It's about becoming someone wealth sticks to. When you shift your identity from consumer to owner, everything changes. Owners don't ask, "Can I afford it?" They ask, "Does this align with who I'm becoming?" That mindset drives smarter decisions, automatically. Let's make it real. A high-income earner who still spends every dollar hasn't built wealth. They've built a lifestyle trap. But someone earning modestly who sees themselves as an investor, a builder, a long-term thinker, they're planting seeds that pay forever. You have to become the kind of person who naturally attracts, multiplies, and protects wealth. That starts with questions like, first, Am I surrounding myself with people who stretch my thinking? Next, do my habits reflect who I say I want to be? Finally, is my calendar filled with tasks that grow my assets or just maintain appearances? Here's the irony. When you stop chasing income and start shaping identity, the income often follows, because now you're playing a different game. The wealthy build lives that reflect their vision, not just their paychecks. So if you want more wealth, don't just ask how to get richer. Ask how to become someone who stays wealthy. So here we are. 10 powerful, mindset-shifting, habit-breaking lessons that most people never learn in a lifetime. But now you do. Let's bring it full circle. You just walked through the mindset of the 1%. Not from a pedestal, but from the ground level, where real transformation happens. And if you're thinking, this actually changed the way I look at money, then good. That's the point. Let's revisit what we've uncovered in these lessons inspired by the psychology of money. 1. Tracking your money isn't obsessive, it's ownership. 2nd, that assets will always outperform aesthetics. 3rd, saving is just the fuel for investing. Next, that community is currency. And that identity, not income, is the foundation of lasting wealth. This isn't just a checklist. It's a shift, a personal revolution. One decision, one mindset, tweak at a time. So here's the big question. Which lesson hit you hardest? Was it the one about protecting your financial engine? Was it identity? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. And if you want more deep dives like this, smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who's ready to start thinking differently. Because this right here, this is how we start breaking generational patterns. This is how we stop living paycheck to paycheck and start building real, meaningful wealth. Not overnight, not with hype, but with principles that work whether the market is booming or burning. You've just learned 10 wealth lessons you'll wish you learned sooner. But now that you know them, the question is, what will you do with them? Your move. If you found this video helpful, I highly recommend watching my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to leave your comment below. I appreciate your support and see you in the next one, Money Magician.